morning, everyone. Welcome to the Buddhist Temple of Toledo. Please be seated and turn in your liturgy books to page 2. Gata of Atonement. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 Refuges. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangam Saranam Gacchami. Sangam Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers. For the lineage of teachers before them, I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, may their vows be completely realized, and may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Please stand for the Heart Sutra. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, practicing deep Prajna Paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness, no other than form, form is exactly emptiness, emptiness, exactly form, sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, path, no wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by prajna paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond delusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by prajna paramita, attaining Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra, set forth this mantra and proclaim Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhisvaha, Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhisvaha, Gate, Gate, Para, Gate, Parsam, Gate, Bodhisvaha. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the 6 worlds, and dedicated in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to all those who suffer as a result of injustices, calamity, cruelty, and war, and to Bruce, Gil, Kaijen, Stephen, Sister Suzette, John, Charles, Reverend Eugen, Roger, may they have peace and healing, and to Laverne and Bill, Sean, Jim, and Marie at the time of their death, and for those who we hold in the silence of our hearts and those we speak aloud now. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together.
Jarvis School students and teachers may exit the Zendo, and everyone else, get your saws out. We will now recite the Sangha Covenant, which you can find in your liturgy book on page 6.
Leading the Daishin Kokuchi Sangha with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others.
Please be seated so you can face the teacher, and we will recite the Gatha on opening the sutra. Which is on page 8.
Gatha on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for choosing to be here and to practice today. This is the first Sunday talk, Dharma discourse, actually, of the Ango. And of course, our topic is the Lankavatara. A few words before we get into some teachings about the Lankavatara, however, I think helpful, could be useful. I remember that last week at the Ango opening, I spoke a little bit about context. And I wish to iterate it again. It's worth repeating. Many people approaching an Ango or an initiation time, looking to some empowerment or something, then have this impulse naturally enough to steel your will against yourself and make yourself do the thing. And the point that I wish to emphasize again is that that is a partial strategy at best, okay? Context has more power than just your individual will. Many times this is the case. What do I mean? I mean, if you put yourself in a situation where there's a lot of trouble and angst and difficulty and emotional turbulence, and you stay there, the odds are very good that you're going to pick up the emotional turbulence and difficulty because you're in that environment. You might have the will to not, but that's very difficult. The wind is blowing against the direction you're trying to move in that case, okay? So we come together as a community and we create a context for each other. We create a framework of noble practice of the Dharma for each other. And I wish to emphasize this because it's not just the building, and it's not the sutras and the teachings and the forms, it's very much the folks, which means it's actually you. Turns out. It turns out that if you show up to Sangha, right, and you come here, and you're encouraged by all the practitioners that you see, and you're encouraged by folks' practice of noble friendship with each other, and you can sense that these are good people that are working on themselves and working to alleviate suffering, and you're nourished by that. And so you decide to come because it's good for you. That's okay as a start. But hopefully sooner than later you'll realize that that's how you are showing up for others as well. You are the context for others when you show up and practice, right? So we do this with each other. No one can do this for us, but we also do this for each other. So it's very much baked into the Bodhisattva heart and mind that your practice is not separate from helping other folks practice. Not proselytizing and converting to the one true way or anything crazy like that, but simply that when you show up, when we choose to show up into practice, we encourage ourselves. And it's good to know how to encourage yourself. Very important skill, right? Rouse yourself. Muster thine self. You are the Rohirrim. Muster yourself. Right? Lord of the Rings reference. Sorry. But you have to know how to rally yourself, but also realize that a part of that is that even if you're, let's say, not particularly feeling it that day, so what? There are other folks that are maybe needing help, needing the encouragement of you, of your practice. Oh, well, this can't apply to me. After all, I'm just a newbie here or whatever. Maybe that matters for the priests or the gray robes or the teachers or the Buddhas or whatever. No, it means each one of us. So making the decision to come here and practice is contributing to and manifesting this container of blessing, really. And this generates immense amount of merit for yourself and for each other, you see. So in the beginning, it's natural enough that someone will come to temple because they think that there might be something there for them. That's a noble entry point. But what that turns into is it's not only that, but it's also a place to contribute. By simply being there and practicing. By showing up and practicing, we create that container for each other. We create that noble context. And there's a lot of times, folks, that people come into temple and it feels kind of strange not because just the robes and the shaved heads or whatever, but because people are so weirdly nice. What is wrong with these people? It's like there's got to be some skeleton in the closet somewhere. This is just too... But actually, you see, if your mind stream is saturated in an environment of contestation and let us say instability and emotional drama and yada, yada, yada like this, okay, you get acclimated to it. You don't smell it as stinky anymore because you're around it all the time, okay? You go outside, you get some fresh air, you come back to the house, and suddenly you can smell it for a time, and then you acclimate yet again. Does that make sense? So coming to Sangha, ideally and actually, this is what humans can be like with each other. We can take care of each other and honor each other and practice together and be fully people all the while, right? And then what would an awakened society be like? Well, it would be something closer to this. I'm not saying robes and zafus would be kind of fun, maybe, but it's compassion, honestly, is what it is, right? It's equanimity and compassion and wisdom, actually being skillful, having your mystic, your contemplative, your dharma intelligence actually inform your day-to-day for real and actually live out of it on a given Tuesday morning, say. Like that can be. And it requires, though, for us to get to that, it requires us coming into the place where we can smell the air of awakening, where we can feel and touch with our bodies and our senses a space that has been cared for, and people that are flawed and human, but trying, but practicing and realizing. Not just digging trenches and making battles. Now, one of the biggest battles that we have to deal with is our own misperceptions, okay? Our own sort of mistaken take on things. And this doesn't mean which philosophical leaning you take, what political party per se, or what cause of the moment, what argument you take based on geopolitical events or something. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fundamental misperceptions that have been occurring long before any of the current geopolitical issues were ever possible. These ones come with human nature, right? The svabhavas, the natures, the three natures, okay? This is one of the essential teachings of the Lankavatara. It brings out these three natures, these three ways of perceiving. And the first of these three is the imagined nature. The second is so-called the other-dependent nature. And the third is perfected, okay? And again, the Lankavatara is a very practice-oriented map I've come to see, come to feel. So these are useful practice guides, these three. Now, where they come from, what they point to, okay? When you perceive something, when you perceive any experience, there's a way in which we simply take things at face or appearance value, okay? This is appearance kind of only, face value only, right? We take things at face value. And it's a strictly dualistic way of perceiving things. You look at things, and this includes sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, feelings of the body, feelings emotionally, and thoughts, sensations, thoughts. And we simply take these feelings and thoughts, say, or sensations of the body or sights, and we take them to be factually there as independent, discrete, eternal units. So, yeah, there you go, perfect. That sound, right? That was a sound. It's a fact, right? So the paper fell, right? If you really interrogate your experience carefully, if you watch very, very carefully how you perceive that sudden sound, right? There's the appearance of form. In that case, it was a sound sensation, right? And then there's an immediate, what is that? Am I okay? What's going on? Are we all right? I'm fine. It fell. We're good. Really fast. Okay? There's this wrapping around it with ideas. Okay? Form appears. Then discrimination appears. What was it? Right? Language appears. What was it? Oh, I know what it was. That's funny, or that's irritating, or it doesn't mean anything. Positive, negative, neutral. These things cascade really fast, but when you sit, if you learn how to really sit, really do Zazen, time slows down. You begin to be able to perceive these inner workings. A bad analogy, but there used to be this video game called Skyrim, which I played once. For a very long time. But one of the, I always like to be the magic using person or whatever, and one of the tricks was that there was this little spell the guy could do or something, and it made everything slow way down. Okay, so it would seem like the little character you were navigating, the thing could run around and do stuff because everybody else is moving in slow motion, right? So it's cool. But Zazen is kind of something like that. You can actually, when you learn how to concentrate and get into really deep jhana states and really deep joriki states, the inner functioning of mind becomes much more trackable. You can actually see and feel what's happening at a much more granular level. Not because someone's explaining it and you believe it, but you're actually able to pay attention in this way. And if the mind is just bobbing along on the surface of the water all the time, like a cork, just up, down, sloshing around, you can never feel what's underneath because you're up here skimming around the whole time. That's why you have to learn how to sit, and you actually have to keep sitting. You don't just sit once and get that done, right? It's an ongoing thing. You learn how to sit and let the mind still and concentrate so that you can start to feel these deeper currents that the cork up here will never be able to really tune into. It's too busy bobbing up and down at the surface of things. The surface is it too, but you can't realize it from there. So this slowing down, we begin to not just perceive things as just dualistic as they appear. Now the second is called other dependent nature. Now this one is kind of interesting because, like, let's see, how do I do this? The Yogacara approach, the early mind-only school, this is something like in the 4th century, Ashtanga, and later Vasubandhu in the 5th century. This is Indic tradition, okay, India, and this is the tradition of mind-only, Yogacara, okay. This is a very big influence on the Lankavatara Sutra teaching, okay. The Prajnaparamita literature, probably 1st century, 2nd, something like that. This is where focusing on emptiness, non-selfness, mind-only, the seeds of mind-only teaching begin to become apparent and to be seen. The Lankavatara, maybe 3rd, 4th century or so. Some of these early nascent Yogacara themes are in there. Why am I saying all this stuff? When you take that other dependent nature, this is another mode of perception again, okay? The first mode is just sort of face value, seeing things just directly as they appear, and that's titled imagined nature. So you have to kind of decode it a little bit. But other dependent nature, this is where you learn how to see things not as self-reliant or self-existing. This is the way the Yogacara formalized it, okay? So interdependent co-arising. So it's a way of looking at things and seeing these things as mutually dependent rather than like self-existent. So like the stick, from this perspective, you could see the teaching stick here as, you know, well, that's wood. So there was a tree that was the result of trees before it, say, and then there was somebody who looked at the tree and said, that's a good one, and they cut it down. And then somebody took and made a log out of it, and then somebody bought that chunk of wood, and somebody carved it, and they carved it because they had interest in this skill for whatever crazy reason, and they yada, 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 and then it became shipped, and now it's here, right? And then Rinsen Roshi got a hold of it and gave it to me in 2014 or whatever it was, and so now I'm holding it. And so that way of looking at a thing, you see that this is not a permanent fixed thing, but rather it's an expression in time of a bunch of causes and conditions that are still in process. You know, like 10,000 years from now, I doubt this will look like a stick anymore. It'll have done other stuff. All the atoms in this will be elsewhere doing other things, probably. Give it 1,000,000 years for sure. Okay, does that make sense? So then you can see, oh, well, like that sound that we all were surprised by, you know, that happened because the sticky stuff kind of wasn't so sticky anymore. And the weight of the paper was greater than the stick. And so gravity, because we're on a planet, so it fell. And because there's atmosphere, it made waves that came through and hit the ear. On and on it goes. But you see everything is like dependent like this. By the way, one time, I don't know if you would know who John Cage is. He's a composer, right? I got to know him, and we were at the New England Conservatory. He was in residence there for, just a total side quest, but let's go there for a second. He was a very great avant-garde composer and very interested in chants, music, chants, chaos theory kind of stuff. And there was a recital of his early music. It was all percussion stuff, and it was very carefully written out. It was really interesting, you know, very interesting, 20th century music. And anyway, the important part is after the recital, John and myself and one of the graduate assistants, which I was at the time, we were hanging out, and there was this massive sort of Arabian whoosh symbol that was part of the thing, you know, like you think of like in the cartoons where the big Sinbad character hits it. It was this huge thing, right? And it was supported up there. Anyway, we were sitting there afterwards talking about, oh, it was a nice recital. We enjoyed the music. How lovely, John, how lovely. And he's like, yeah. And then somehow they had not properly affixed this massive symbol to its holder. And as they were taking it down, it crashed. And it was like a bomb went off. Everybody went, whoa, you know, everybody jumped. And I'll never forget, John Cage, he jumped like we all did, and then he laughed and said, wasn't that delicious? That was the best part of the whole concert. So that's John Cage, yeah. Anyway, something like this, okay? So, but this other dependent, it's not actually what it means from the Lankavatara perspective. It's not Yogacara, that's what it means. Yogacara means see each thing as interdependently arising from other things, causes and conditions, but it still has discrete packets of things that are dependent on other things. So there's a bunch of things that are now in process, but they're still thingized. You still make a thing out of it, okay? So actually what the Lankavatara is, when the Lankavatara talks about this other dependent nature, I think what it's really pointing to is this karmic habit energy pattern of mind. When you have, say, ear consciousness and the ear organ and the object of perception of the sound, that's actually the other dependentness that it's talking about. When you begin to see in your own experience, because again, your samadhi is deep enough that you begin to actually have a chance to, okay? When you begin to actually perceive that inner working of object of perception, organ of perception, consciousness of perception coming together, and that is the karmic habit energy pattern that feeds up an experience to an experiencer, a hearer in this case. Well, now you're not really just seeing things at face value. You're starting to see them a little bit more like how mind functions, you see. So being able to see things as interdependently arising is good medicine. Not wrong. Buddha taught it. Good stuff. Don't be satisfied with that, though. See into the process of how you perceive it, or more correctly said, how you create it. Your mind is not really a big recording device. It's a projector. It creates, okay? You create your experience literally in this way. Being able to see this process of creation and to be able to see through it is the essential key, which interestingly just requires stillness. Just like settle down, y'all. Just settle down and learn how to really pay attention and really watch what's happening, you see. And then the sounds of the zendo, be they sudden or gentle, they can become moments of awakening. Why is it that the Zen literature is filled with all these stories of awakening because of like a thunderclap or a shout or some crazy thing happens, you know? Because what happens is a person has got enough samadhi going that this cascade goes through the mind system and they suddenly realize what's happening. And it's actually quite humorous. So this third nature, okay, imagine nature, kind of face value. The second one is other dependent. What I've said is the Yogacara take is seeing things as a process, which is noble. The Lankavatara take, as I understand it, is see the mind's functioning, how the mind creates it. This is the dependentness of it, see? And then the perfected nature. That's seeing things in their own terms as suchness itself. Now, if you apply all of this kind of, hopefully not too esoteric sounding stuff, but if you actually take this into that difficult conversation and have it there with you, if you can actually take this into those moments when you're raking yourself through the coals of your own imagination, if you can apply this there, if you can apply this, frankly, to your suffering, really interrogate, why are you suffering? Like, really? Is it because they made you feel this way? Is that actually true? Really, really, really interrogate it. Really pay attention to your experience. And don't assume things just because they present this way or that way. This is my understanding of practice is it's like being able to really pay attention very, very deeply to what's happening. You know, take any moment of your own suffering and interrogate it. Why am I suffering? I'm not talking about pain. Pain is going to happen. I'm talking about dukkha. Dukkha means when the mind will not turn. Like it's literally the reference to a wheel that won't turn on its axle. It's stuck. When your mind is stuck, fixated, clinging, creating this drama of which you're the hero or the villain or the victim or whatever character. Doesn't matter. All of those are suffering roles, all of them. See through the story. Pay very clear attention to your experience. How does this story even come to arise? I mean, it's one thing to be able to say, like, okay, this is a framing that causes me to suffer, so I'm going to swap it out for a better framing. That's fine. I wish more people knew how to do that. It's a good thing. But what the hell is going on? What even is this framing thing? Who is it that's framing what? What's actually happening here? This again is why the context of Sangha is so necessary. That's why your practice is so important. Believe it or not, your being here right now is a great merit for yourself and a great merit for everybody that gets to see you. And I know for a lot of us, it's difficult to be seen. We don't like to be seen. Zen is kind of like a magnet for introverts. Like, look around, right? Not everybody, but most, okay? But honestly, being willing to come out of the shell and at least say hi and be willing to practice together and to cross that gap is necessary for all of our development and growth. It gives encouragement for each other. It gives encouragement to yourself. To do what? To realize yourself. To realize, to really see what's going on. I'll close with this from the 53rd ancestor, Ajo. Ajo said it this way: even though the myriad things come and go and are extinguished, there remains something that is not extinguished. Even though everything is gone, there is something that is not exhausted. What is it that does not exhaust? What is it that is not susceptible to this coming and going, to this liking and disliking? What is it that is not just this karmic habit energy pattern enacting itself over and over again? Utterly empty, it is marvelously bright by true nature. Therefore, it is said to be pure and naked, empty and spotless, obvious, bright and shining. There is not a hair of doubt. There is not even a whisker of false thought. It is brighter than a billion suns and moons. This it, by the way, is nothing other than you. You, dear one, are brighter than a billion suns and moons. You, dear one, are pure, original, empty, spotless, obvious, bright, brilliant, and shining. Please realize it. For the sake of yourself, each other, for all beings throughout space and time, may we realize it. May it be so. So I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow